Hey everyone, I'm back with part 2. Okay, so where I left off, I was talking about Archangel Michael and his message for me, what I feel it all means, and my discussion with my doctor, my twin flame doctor. And when we discovered that we had this synchronicity in common and we had messages for each other, we really talked at length about a lot of spiritual matters. And he had some really wonderful insights for me and shared with me that his guru had told him that it takes 12 years to reach enlightenment. And I thought that was interesting because I realized at that moment I was really on my 11th year, because you can say, I mean, my whole life has been a series of spiritual awakenings, you can say, but really where things really took off was in 2007, was when my sister was diagnosed, and I got very sick that same week with the flu and didn't recover, and saw the orb in the church, and everything really started to evolve from there. And then, being guided to meet my twin 7 years later, etc., etc. So I thought it was interesting he offered that, because I'm like, well, I'm at my 11th year, and the lucky number 11, right? That being the year I happened to run into my twin again after 3 years of no contact, and finally getting diagnosed, after 35 years of a mysterious illness, finally getting answers of what's going on in my body. Like, a lot of things are being enlightened, or coming to the surface. There's a lot of changes going on within me that are incredibly powerful. I can almost see how in 12 years, I will have reached some sort of, pinnacle of awakening, perhaps with my twin, that would be wonderful. But I feel that true healing is in my path. I hope to 100% fully recover and be able to help other people with this illness. And, honestly, I'm just so grateful for the progress I've made so far, and for the very incredible divine thing that happened that I'm about to share, that I feel has gotten me to, to this point of where I am now. So I'm just trusting the journey on what's happening and what's continuing to unfold. And honestly, I've accepted and surrendered to what lie ahead. If even if I, get 80 or 90% better, I'm okay with that, because like I said, I've been dealing with this for so long, so I'm sort of used to persevering through these setbacks. But I don't know, I just have a lot of faith that things are just going to work itself out. Things will be okay, and I'm just grateful that I'm here online again. I'm back to work. I am taking clients again, and it's just a beautiful thing to be able to share all this with you guys, share this journey with you guys. So let me explain the healing that happened. It's pretty remarkable. So I mentioned, or now I can't remember, I'm sorry if I mentioned the guru's name. I don't think I did. So my doctor, and Eastern philosophy is not my thing, that's my twin's department, but some of you may know this particular person, Guruji Sri Ravi Shankar. I'm probably butchering his name, but he's in India. He has an ashram in India, very, very well known there. And I recognized his picture when he brought him up, but I didn't, know of him really. And he spoke of him and told me he was about to go to India for a few months to stay at his ashram, and he knows him personally. And on his spiritual journey, like I said, he's a twin flame, right? And continuing his awakening journey, he was guided to go there. He's since come back, and I think he keeps going back and forth, actually. And he spoke very highly of him, and he had a picture of him on his desk, and he showed it to me, and he's just like, do you feel anything from this picture? And honestly, you know what? I'm going to actually get the picture right now just so I can sit with it as I'm talking about it. But it's interesting because I didn't know who he was. He looked familiar, but I immediately felt this completely calming, healing presence. And at this point that when I was in his in this doctor's office, and this was the first week. I mean, I really was. I was not good. I don't even know how I was able to even make sense in my conversations at this point. But I immediately just felt healing come through, even from the picture. And I'm not really like a guru type of person, you know. Jesus is my guru, but he told me, he said, "Well, I want you to have this picture," and I have it here. I'm holding it. He said, "I want you to have this photograph of him. I feel you should take it home." And immediately I thought it was like such a sweet, kind gesture. And I brought it home. I put it on my bed. I just laid it down, and my cat immediately went over to it, and she put her head right on. It's just a picture of his face, right? And she just laid her head right on top of his, and just laid her whole body down. I knew right away. My cats are very intuitive, as we know. My cat is super, super, super in tune, and she's been very in tune with me since I've been ill, and has been helping me. And I just knew right away. I was like, whoa, okay, she knows something, you know? So, at this point, I felt guided to take the picture and meditate with it, and then I felt guided to actually place it on my gut, which is where a lot of my problem areas are. And I mentioned before, I was diagnosed with parasites as well, and I immediately felt things like moving around my stomach, as disgusting as that sounds, but there were things moving around in there. I don't know what, and I just felt this whole release of energy. I just felt extremely, extremely ill prior to this, and just immediately everything just sort of started to lift away. And I felt his energy come in and speak to me and give me instructions and tell me where to move the energy in my body and what to do. And it was very, very clear instruction. And I was like, wow, what is going on? And like within minutes, all of this pain, this inflammation, everything just was released. And guys, I was in a lot of agony. I mean, I think that I mentioned this, you know, prior, but the discomfort level that I was in is just, it was on another level. What I experienced, especially the days prior to this, it was really on another level. It was more than I could bear. And I was praying to God and just like telling him, like, I cannot deal with this level of pain. I have a high threshold for pain, and you know, just the migraines that I was getting, it was horrific. I wouldn't wish this pain on anyone. And yeah, so I really was praying a lot, and just basically saying, like, quite honestly, I can't take anymore. Like, something needs to be done. I can't. You have to bring some of this inflammation down, you know. And so within minutes of working with his energy, and I feel God was working through him, there was tremendous relief. And it's interesting because my doctor's higher self also came through, and then also started to work on me, which was unexpected. I later on told him, like, oh, you know, by the way, your higher self does house calls, you know. And so from that point on, so after that, I was finally able to eat again, because at this point I wasn't eating properly for like weeks. I mean, I was down to eating like a half an apple a day. That's how bad it was. And I had no appetite whatsoever. I could not even look at food. And I'm telling you guys, like, I don't shy away from food. Like, I enjoy eating. Eat was actually my first word, believe it or not. I'm Hispanic, so, you know, that's how we do. And I always know, like, if I'm having issues eating, there's something like extremely, extremely wrong. And yeah, I was basically had no appetite for like weeks. After I worked with his energy, I felt things move around my body and my stomach. Immediately something just released, and all of a sudden my appetite came back, and like with like a vengeance, and I was like scarfing food down. That was like a miracle in and of itself. I'm like, oh my God, I'm hungry. Oh my gosh, I raid my fridge. And it was just clear to me that something incredible happened, something shifted. There was a very powerful release of energy. Just incredible, hard to really explain, but it was almost instantaneous within minutes. And I wasn't fully healed, but I was a million times better, and I was able to just sort of like then continue the path of healing, and I have been since then. And so what I want to say from here is, I'm just looking at my notes. I'm just trying to see where I left off. So I had to get like a series of like MRIs and CAT scans and stuff of my brain, and I had to go back for another CAT scan. And again, it's funny because the only appointment that was available was at this particular center where you guys heard me mention how I ran into my twin. This center happened to be a stone's throw away from where we happened to run into each other. Of all the places in all of New York, this is where I was guided to go, of course, right? So I go there, and, even though at this point I was feeling a lot better, things were still very uncertain. I was, very scared. The diagnosis was and still is, not good, in all honesty, especially since, really because I've had it for so long. So the infection is so pervasive within my body, and it's a very complicated thing to treat, So, things, I don't know, just sort of got kind of real inside of that, inside of that MRI. I think it was the MRI I was at, whatever, either way. Things just kind of got real, and I started to really just, I don't know, I started to speak to my twin at that point, and I was obviously feeling his energy because I was close to where we run into each other, and that happens to be where he lives too, right? So I'm speaking to him, and I'm just like, what's going on? Like, tell me something, show me something, like what is happening here? Because I did mention that we did separate again prior to this, and I did send a message saying I made light of what was going on. I didn't say how severe it was, but I did tell him that, some health issues were coming back, and he expressed his concern and his prayers and his blessings, and his, was sending healing, and was very kind, very sweet, but, still was not in my life, was still, running. So that triggered me. But to be honest, guys, like, I really felt from the beginning, and I still do, that, like, this is something that I'm just sort of supposed to go through alone. Like, it's just a test for me, a test of faith, a test on many levels. And it's just something not to say that I'm going through it alone. I mean, I do have support, and I'm very grateful for the loving people that have been helping me and help guiding me through this. But alone in other levels, and on that level especially, I'm just supposed to go through this healing without him. But still, I'm speaking to him inside of the MRI, and I come out of the appointment, and I was emotional that day. It just, like I said, things just sort of got real, because I'm like, okay, what is the damage to my brain exactly? And we're still not really sure. There's, more testing that would have to be done, but I'm not even worried about it, to be honest with you guys. I'm really not. And there's a whole other element to that. But, so when I got out of the appointment, I went down into the lobby, and I don't know, I was just guided to just sit there for a few minutes and not leave. I don't know. You guys know what I mean. You just have those nudges, those intuitive nudges, like, no, let me just hang out here for a few minutes. I don't really know why. So I sat there in the lobby for a few minutes, just sort of enjoyed the air conditioning for a little bit more, and then finally just felt guided to get up and go. Well, I left. I walked 2 blocks. I had to go to a store that was in that neighborhood anyway. And who is on the corner but my twin? Moments later, after speaking to him inside of the MRI, like crying to him, like, what's going on? Show me a sign. Where the heck are you? There he is. Again, granted, I'm in his neighborhood, but I'm pretty much always in that neighborhood. Had to be for years for work. Never ran into him. The only time I ran into him prior to this was at 606, that divine run-in that I explained to you guys, right? There he is. Only this time he's on a bicycle. He's on the other side of the street. He doesn't see me. And to be honest, in the state that I was in, I didn't actually want to speak to him. I didn't want him to see me. So I was okay with that. I was like, I'm not about to stop him, but I was, curious to, obviously see where he was going, and et cetera, et cetera. So I pick up the phone to immediately call my friend, to be like, guess what? Oh my God. And from what I can tell, looking at the call log, I believe I ran into him on the street at 7:17. And you guys know 717. You guys have heard me mention this before. Other people have said it. 717 is a twin flame union number. If not twin flame union number, it's a twin flame number, 717. And that's a number actually I was getting frequently around that time too. So I was like, are you kidding me? Here I am running into him again at this particular time, right after having like a breakdown in the MRI, like just completely shocked. And so anyhow, so I went inside the store and I just realized, like, that's why I was guided to wait downstairs in that lobby. Had I left even just a few moments sooner, I would have been inside of that store. I wouldn't have seen him. We caught each other. He was on a bicycle. Like, we caught each other at that exact moment. I mean, I don't, again, just absolutely mind-blowing. So, okay, so that happened. And then not long after this, seeing him, of course, triggered me, right? As it tends to happen, right? When you see your twin. And, was just thinking, like, what the heck? How long is this going to be? The separation? And should I call him? What do I do? And just general sort of triggering going on, And I felt guided to actually go back to the video that I last uploaded, right? Where that incredible message came in for me from him. And even though I remembered or vaguely remembered what I said, I was guided to go back and actually listen to it. And I didn't actually listen to it until now, months later. And I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay, yeah, I remember saying that. Yeah, okay. But then I was guided to look at the time that message came in. And guys, that message came in at 16:06. And you've heard me talk about this 606 number I keep getting. So 16 is also very prevalent because that happens to be my lucky number. And I mentioned this in videos prior, and 116, it evolved into 116 like a decade ago or whatever, prior to meeting my twin. So no surprise there. 11/6. And if you look back at my videos, as of right now, I have maybe about over 50 videos. I may wind up deleting some, but as of right now, pretty much every video ends in either a 1 or 6, because that's like my number. Don't ask me how. I did not do that intentionally. I'm not tech savvy. It's not possible anyway, because when I convert this recording to an MP3 and then upload it to YouTube, it changes the time on it each time. It's always off by a second or two. It is not consistent. In other words, the number of seconds it adds. So at least I can't manipulate that. Not like I would anyway. And that's just sort of like a little thing. And I never mentioned it before. I kind of wanted to see how long it would go on for before it stopped, And now that I'm mentioning it, these videos are probably not ending in one or six, but let's see. But that's sort of like my guide's little thing, like it's just sort of like reassurance and protection I feel on my channel. And for that message to come through at 1606 is really very, very, very remarkable for me. And I did say it again, like a few moments later, a minute or two later, I did mention it again. But that initial thing that I mentioned, that energy bubble that came through, that I was like, oh, what is this information? Like, like this just in kind of thing, that energetic thing I felt came through at that moment. I voiced it at 1606. And again, that was him saying that, not me. Warning me, saying everything's going to be okay. Like, oh my goodness. So totally, totally, totally blown away. And, I just keep going back to that, and I just keep going back to all of the crazy things that have happened, all of the signs, and I obviously trust them. I mean, we all do by now, right? But it's just very interesting. It's like, when you're going through very, grave times, maybe such as this, like, and you think that, like, where is my guidance? My guides have left me all alone. I'm in this pain and suffering. I was in this severe pain and agony for a while. And, the whole time they're there, they're supporting you. It's like that Footprints poem, which I keep sort of getting that in my head. And then I was divinely guided to it on the computer. It just popped up. It's interesting how that happens. But, when you think you're left alone, they're really supporting and guiding you the whole time. God is, and your guides are, and the angels. And that's really what's been happening this whole time. And it was a true test of faith for me to remember that and to just know that when I really had nothing to go on. And there's a whole other crazy thing that happened that I would like to share maybe in another video, another beautiful element to all of this. And so there was my twin, like, even though we're in separation, it's like the whole Footprints thing. He's still there, guiding me, supporting me, even when I can't really see or feel him, and giving me these incredible messages in my own videos at these incredible times, like 1606. Just crazy. Yeah. So, I mean, I go back to that message again of the crowning energy of that reading, the Magician card energy, where I kept saying, like, trust the magic, because I felt, especially when I channeled, or, he channeled, I should say, he was working through me, my twin. I felt that incredible energy through that Magician card. I remember there was something there. It was like I couldn't find the words for it. I couldn't put my finger on it, but, like, the energy, guys, was so incredible. And I'm not saying there's like, oh, that was such an incredible reading. I don't mean to say that, but for me, it's hard to put into words the energy that I felt when I channeled it. Like, just the incredible love that was coming through, and just the reassurance, the message over and over, like, trust what brought you two together to begin with. Trust your connection with God. And this whole thing is so much bigger than twin flame union anyway. It's bigger than that. And I'm not saying that I don't believe union is going to happen. I believe it well in the 3D, but it's so much grander than what we realize. And I know I've said that many times. So, yeah, so please have faith, and just please trust in all of that. And, a big thing that I was worried about is my ability to intuit, because, like I said, I'm dealing with this whole neurological thing now. And it's fascinating because, and I apologize if I mentioned this in part 1, because now I can't remember, but not only are my gifts intact, but they have grown substantially, and I'm getting like guidance now that I haven't had before, and it's kind of weird in a way, because really my brain is sort of like mush, like macaroni, and but yet I'm getting these visions that and shown these things that are happening even on like the world stage that hasn't happened before. I'm showing current events before they happen, things like that. So it's happening more and more, and I find that kind of an interesting scenario. I hear other people talk about that, people who go through, cancer and near-death experiences or whatever, they come back and they're really impaired or whatever, but they have these gifts they didn't have before. And I've always had these gifts, but they have been stronger since I've been going through this neurological problem, which you wouldn't suspect, right? But that just goes to show you it's not coming from your brain. It's not coming from you even. It's from God. It's channeled through you. And so I've had a lot of reassurance in that area, that I'm divinely protected. I mean, of course I'm divinely protected, but that I'm still meant to carry out this craft, and perhaps now more than ever with the healing work that I'll be doing. And of course, again, it's not me that's doing it. It's the divine really working through me. And it's such a gift. It's such an incredible gift to be able to, I don't know, just it's in some ways it's like, I don't know, maybe I struggle with almost feeling worthy of it in some way, or feeling like, I don't know. It's hard to sort of like put my finger on, but I think there's sort of like a level of like disbelief, I guess you can say, that's there, because yet there's so much uncertainty in my life with my health, with everything else, but yet this is like the one thing I really feel that I can sort of trust and rely on, but yeah, guys, I mean, the signs, the things, everything has been off the charts. I know for a lot of you guys too that I'm speaking to, there's a lot that is going on presently, and this has been, a wild journey, and thanks for hearing me out and listening to these 2 videos if you've made it this far. And I'm getting a little sleepy, so I'm sorry if you can hear that in my voice, but I'm going to be uploading a video pretty soon too, and a twin flame reading. I'll be channeling my twin again. I'm going to be doing that from now on, because I think that just makes sense now. But I promise that this next reading will be more for you guys, rather than just, I don't know, maybe there will be a message in there for me too, but I look forward to uploading again soon. And if you guys feel guided to reach out and work with me, if you feel I have messages for you, then give me an email. My information is below. And I think I've said everything I wanted to say here. There's a lot more I could go into, but I'll save it more for another video. And thanks again for listening. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you again soon. God bless everyone.